There's one more thing I do to the top of the ferrule before I glue a tip on, is I like to put a score mark, usually across. Sometimes I go, if I feel like the leather is a little hard, like especially if you're putting a hard tip on or a medium hard tip on, and if you feel like the glue is not gonna penetrate that leather very well, I could even go tic-tac-toe style and kind of get more score marks on the top of the ferrule so that the glue has more surface area to kind of adhere to. So pretty much like that. You don't want to go too deep. All I'm doing is just applying just a little bit of pressure, just enough to score up that surface. And I do the same for the tip as well. See if I can just turn this around to my board. So for the tip, I use a 220 laid on a flat surface. And I'm gonna be putting this Longasi Soft tip on. If you want more information, www.longasi.com. So they put a logo over there and they printed words over there for a good reason, right? So that's the gluing surface, and you want to sand that surface to the point where you can't see those words anymore. You want to open up the pores on that leather and expose the inner side of that leather so that the glue can stick on it a lot better. There are a lot of different ways to do this. Some people like to do the figure of 8. Some people like to just go up and down and turn it up and down, turn it up and down. The reason why we turn it is if you just keep sanding it in one direction, sometimes the surface may not be flat. So I like to do a combination of both. So I'm gonna start from this side, go down twice. I'll turn it clockwise, down twice again. Turn it clockwise again, down twice. Turn it clockwise again, come down twice. You can see that's a flat surface. The words are gone. I've already exposed the newer layers of the leather, so the glue is gonna stick on there pretty good. And same thing on the surface of the leather. I also put score marks. Same thing, you don't have to do too much. I just like to score it up a little more than others because I feel that gives me a lot more adherence to the glue. I'm not sure if you can see those lines, but that's pretty much scored up right now. The last thing I do is I take a piece of napkin and just kind of brush it. You see those black powdery substance coming out? Yeah, you don't want any of those to be stuck in the glue when you glue the tip on. So that's what I do. I also like to use my blade and just kind of scrape the surface so that, you know, any foreign substances gets dislodged and the surface is as smooth as possible. The next step that I do is always protect your ferrule. So I use the painter's tape, just a little bit, and I put the painter's tape right up to the edge so that any excess glue that comes off the side of the tip is not gonna get on the ferrule and make it ugly. It's just a very simple step, but I assure you, if you do this right, it will save you a lot of trouble. What I also like to do is, because I go so close to the edge, sometimes I may go over the edge, so I just use a napkin, press down on it, and just turn the shaft so that if there are any edges of the painter's tip kind of sticking out, you don't want those to be glued under the tip. So I just kind of press onto it and just turn the shaft so that, you know, I'm pressing the side of the tape down and just be flush with the edges. And let's change the angle again. And this is where we glue the tip on. Yes. So I'll be the first person to admit to you that I lean towards using more glue than necessary. Because I have the painter's tape on the side of the ferrule. You know, some people say, oh, you only need 1 drop of glue. And I totally agree. 1 drop is enough. But just being able to see the glues ooze out on all edges of all around the ferrule lets me know that my glue is all the way around. Like sometimes you've seen tips that pop off halfway while people are playing, and that's because, and when it pops off, you can see that on maybe half or a quarter of the tip, there was no glue at all, like it's clean. So to refrain from that happening, as you can see from here, I've got glue oozing out on all sides. Let me see if I can focus this. Yeah, there we go. See, you can see glue oozing out all the way around. So I know that every bit of that top surface of the ferrule has glue on it. So that's what I like to do. I mean, glue is not, it's not like it's really expensive. So I tend to lean towards the side of using more glue than less. It's just a reassurance thing. And usually by 20-30 seconds of just hard pressing, tip should be on there pretty good. And what I do is I just use a napkin to just wipe off the sides of any excess glue. So there's no glue. You won't get any glue on your hands. At which point you should be able to just take the painter's tape out. And you see, because I let the glue ooze out on the sides, some of the painter's tape got stuck as well, but at least you don't have the glue on the ferrule, and you should be able to get those out with a knife real easy. Let me change the angle real quick, and I'll show you how I trim the sides of the tip.